What'd you find?
A horseshoe.
You gonna be in a video too?
Yeah.
This is Damien for MD Gear, and today we're gonna put on the NEL Storm on the AT Pro. Right there. I've had the 5x8 on here ever since I got this detector, pretty much. So it's gonna be quite a shock to swing this NEL Storm on the bottom of my AT Pro. NEL Storm! And it's cold outside. It's unbelievably cold in western New York, and it's like April 10th. Yeah, it's April 10th, and it's not even 35 degrees outside. I don't know what's going on with spring, but spring needs to go home. It's drunk, right? So the Storm came with its own bolt for the coil. It's a little cold for putting water in your watering can right now, don't you think?
No.
Well, let me finish my video and I'll put some water in your watering can later. One thing it did come with is kind of cool, a branded little Velcro piece, which is great for keeping your coil. And I've already got a little Velcro piece on my AT Pro. You want to have the coil come up and cross the top of your lower shaft. And then I like to keep it, instead of starting to wrap it around right away, I like it to do a nice straight line up off the right side and be held on by a little Velcro piece. So NEL obviously has the same thought in mind, because they gave me a little branded NEL Velcro. I did get a new lower shaft when I got the 5x8, but with these cam locks on the Garrett, I just found like I felt like it was just as easy to undo the bolt at the bottom and put a different coil on than it was to unscrew the cam locks and pull this stuff down through. Maybe it's slightly quicker to do the lower shaft swap out with the coil, as long as my hands aren't going to freeze off. So we're going to unscrew this. The odd and a bit hard to use lock for the cable. Alright, got my little Velcro piece. It's kind of falling apart actually. Got to undo the cam lock. Oh wait, I'm not taking the lower shaft off. Not undoing the cam lock, but I am going to undo these bolts at the bottom here. I've got the NEL bolt in there, but I don't have the little rubber seals in there that came with the bolt that go on either side of the lower shaft. And now it's looser than it was with the Garrett bolt. So I'm going to actually try the NELs. The handles for the bolt are bigger. Starting the cable on the right side, then NEL is now right side up, and you can lay it flat. You can't do it the other way, so it's a little backwards from the way Garrett does it. We're going to go over the lower shaft to start out. I'm going to use my Velcro to bring that nice and high off the coil at first, like that. So I've got it up and straight up off the coil pretty much. I'll start wrapping it around. They do give you a lot of cable here. So once you get that lined up, then you have to push it really hard with one hand, get it tight. And just like the 5x8, this NEL doesn't want to get up in there. So you have to, I got it. So you have to push up as hard as you can, and then with one hand screw that bolt up while you're pushing as hard as you can. I think Garrett could have done that better. I don't know, like a latch or something would have been nice, just to get it up there close, and then have a latch that seals it waterproof. Would have been so much, I think, a better design than the way they just did that. So now one thing I'm doing is I've got the shaft a little bit shorter on the AT Pro to try to swing it a little closer to my feet, rather than have it extended way out, which I think will alleviate a little bit of the weight. It's definitely heavier, folks. I mean, it's a beast of a coil, but it's not as heavy as the CTX. Did y'all hear that? It's a sweet, sweet signal right there. Oh wow. The token. So at first I thought it was this lump of iron. Got a little bit under that. This thing's super light. It's a little token. It says good for 5 cent. Good for 5 cent trade. The back is chunky. I'll have to work on this. The back's kind of, I can't really read the back yet. And I've been out detecting this backyard with the Deus a bunch. I've done this little patch of backyard of mine a lot. Oh, it's sort of iffy out there. There's an artist that lives here in this house at one point. I find these little tubes of paint that were just chucked in the yard all the time. And I think it's in a plug. It's a nickel.
Yay!
And it looks a little shiny.
Put it in your pocket.
Yeah. That's a war nickel, 1943. Like in this NEL storm. Ed and Heath from Treasure Mountain Detectors. Ed gave me a fantastic deal on that storm, so call them up. I'll put their phone number up on the screen. If you want a great deal on detecting, detectors or detectorist supplies, call Ed and Heath at Treasure Mountain Detectors. In amongst a couple of junk pieces. So really cool, a war nickel right in my backyard, where I've been over this with the Deus and the AT Pro several times in this little yard. See, there's my barn right there, and it's right behind my house, and everybody dumped all kinds of crap out here for hundreds of years. So I did find a buffalo nickel right there. I just found that war nickel right there. I found a Merc over there, and I found an 1810 Haitian military button out here too. Getting a jumpy signal here. There it is. Oh. Haha. I found a horseshoe. What'd you find?
A horseshoe.
Yay! That went on the foot of a horse. It's deep and it's coin size. That's a wheat. $1940. I'm notched out to 34. But listen to that iron audio. A little bit of junk in the ground maybe. My daughter wants me to hit the baseball with her, so I'm going to wrap this up, a review of the NEL storm. So far I found a wheat penny and a war nickel and a token of some kind. So 3 things I found in my backyard where I've been over 100 times with, not 100, okay, a dozen times with other detectors. So definitely loving the NEL coil, the NEL storm for the AT Pro. Apparently the coil starts on the right, the cable starts on the right side, so this can lay flat when you set it down on the ground. And again, I want to thank Treasure Mountain Detectors, Ed and Heath, giving me a sweet deal on this. My website is mdgear.com, and I have a YouTube channel as well, obviously. Forum on the site if you want to ask me any questions or chat about metal detecting. I always love to chat about metal detecting. This is Damien for MD Gear, and as always, thanks for watching.